Hello, my name is Bikram Rautray and I'm a management consultant and trainer having almost 25 years of experience around various different sectors. Today I'm going to talk about organizational change management and the advanced side of it. पहले हमने देखा था बेसिक्स और द फंडामेंटल्स क्या क्या आपको चाहिए ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल चेंज मैनेजमेंट में. आज कुछ और एडिशनल टॉपिक्स हम कवर करेंगे. फर्स्ट विल बी गोइंग ओवर टू द चेंज और द विजन फॉर चेंज. पिछली बार हमने डिस्कस किए थे व्हाई दिस विजन इज़ इम्पोर्टेंट फ्रॉम द लीडर्स. आज हम सीखेंगे हाउ टू क्रिएट दोज चेंज विजन फॉर योर डिपार्टमेंट्स और फॉर योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. Then we'll talk about the culture side of it, organizational culture and why it is important for any change initiative. Topic number 3, neuroscience of change, where the brain, human brain किस तरह से काम करता है एक change को resist या accept करने के लिए, उसमें कुछ topics हम देखेंगे. This is an interesting, at the same time it is an innovative area. अभी भी काफ़ी सारे research हो रहा है to know how it is affecting change management. That is something we'll be going over. Then topic number 4, some of those collaboration techniques, interesting collaboration techniques like that of the World Cafe and OST, Open Space Technology, जो आप अपने डिपार्टमेंट के अंदर आप इसको लागू कर सकते हैं, वो भी हम देखेंगे. Then change analytics, जब आप change implement कर रहे हैं, you require lots of data. तो आज हम डेटा के भी बारे में बात करेंगे, क्या क्या डेटा आप लेके आ सकते हैं चेंजेस के लिए. That is topic number 5. और आखिर में हम देखेंगे क्या क्या टूल्स या टेक्निक्स जो आपको मदद कर सकता है इस चेंज को इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए. देयर कुड बी मेनी मोर टूल्स बट एज पर दोज बेसिक्स चेंज व्हाट माइट बी नीडेड प्रॉब्ली दिस 6 पॉइंट टॉपिक नंबर 6 वुड हेल्प यू. सो फर्स्ट टॉपिक, विजन फॉर चेंज. व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द विजन, we are talking about that future state. We are analyzing what is that we will be bringing to make your change successful. So these are those subtopics we will be going over. The first one is, what is a vision? When we talk about a vision, we are talking about that future state that we are bringing in. So the vision, what is that the organization wants to be? Now, when we talk about the mission, there is a difference. The mission helps you how to get there, how to get to that future state. Mission एक तरह से वो operational aspects है to take you to that vision. Now, both of them are needed from a change perspective, but vision is more appropriate because we are talking about that future state. When I am saying future state, I am talking about that goal post. I am talking about that North Star or that future where we want to be. इस विजन को क्रिएट करने के लिए हम विजन स्टेटमेंट लिखते हैं. विजन स्टेटमेंट आप टेक्सचुअली लिख सकते हैं या तो फिर कुछ ग्राफिक्स के साथ या कंबाइनिंग बोथ ऑफ देम. वट एवर इज सुइटेबल फॉर योर डिपार्टमेंट, यू कैन क्रिएट योर विजन स्टेटमेंट. नाउ व्हेन यू आर क्रिएटिंग दिस विजन स्टेटमेंट, इट इज़ नॉट दैट स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड कि आपने आज सोचा कि आज ही मैं क्रिएट करता हूँ विजन स्टेटमेंट एंड यू आर sitting and writing and completing it. It would be difficult. Why? You do have different viewpoints from different stakeholders. They do have different perspective. This might not be matching with what you want to bring in within your change. So how do you incorporate? How do you bring in those two together? That is your viewpoint and the perspective. Different people, different stakeholders, they do have different perspective. So you need to create that shared vision, so that everybody is ready. At least they know what is that we are bringing in. They know even if they are not in favor of the change, what is that will be coming to them. That is that future state or the vision state. So how do you bring it in? Have those conversations, bring in and talk to your stakeholders. What is that you want to achieve as a leader? When you do have difference of opinion, that is sometimes always good, because we are talking about those ideas that can be dropped out or that can be changed as per your needs. Now, how do you create these vision statements? You are bringing in those key information that is needed for your change. having those vision statement, that future state, it could be challenging because we are talking about those group of people who will be accepting that change. That means we are talking about that larger audience who will be accepting. वो जो मैसेज आप देना चाह रहे हो, it must be those inspirational to your audience, to that larger group. If it is not inspirational, हो सकता है वो धीरे धीरे वो चेंज से दूर चले जाएं. So you need to create that atmosphere. You need to create in such a way that they can verify that this is my vision, this is my future state. We want to go there. Like when you are going from that problem statement of the manual system to that of those automated system, तो आपको automated का दिखाना पड़ेगा कि क्या फायदा होगा उनको with that simple statement, what we are calling it as the vision statement. This provides to create that blueprint or the target operating model, the futuristic aspect of it. What is that future state you will be achieving? The vision statement will also talk about what are those problems the current situation is facing and how do you overcome it. So you will be describing in a way, in a short and sweet form, so that it would be accepted to everyone. In terms of its length and its purpose, it should be small. So you are creating that code statement which is short and to the point. Depending on different stakeholders, you may be creating different representations for different audiences. This would help you. Something we call it as the blueprint or the TOM, that is your target operating model. So we talk about two operating models. One is your COM versus the TOM. What is your current operating model versus what would be your future or the target operating model. It would help you to minimize those gap that is existing today. So the current operating model, say we do have this manual system, and the to be state or the target operating model is the automated state. So how do you achieve it? And that is when you are minimizing through different initiatives. आप अलग-अलग projects run कर रहे हैं to go to that target operating model. But the first point to create is your vision statement. At the same time, while you are taking care of all these points that we went through, you also need to know how not to create a vision statement. Some of those points, it would help you in avoiding those pitfalls. Like it is not a to-do list. आपने कुछ list बना दिया, action items, bullet points, that this is what I want to achieve. No. These are your action items. These are your mission statements. Then, of course, it is not a mission statement. आप कैसे अचीव करना चाह रहे हो वो आप डिटेल में नहीं लिखते हो, उसके लिए आपके प्रोजेक्ट्स है, आपके मिशन है. It is not management waffle. It is not that cake you are providing only to those management people who will be leading it from the top. It is for everyone. Different roles and responsibilities we have seen. You do have the leaders, you do have the middle managers, as well as you do have the implementers. So write that statement. आप ऐसे लिखिए ताकि सबको समझ में आ जाए और विजन स्टेटमेंट या फ्यूचर स्टेट क्या है. Again, it is not the sermon that goes on and on. इतना लेंथी आपने कर दिया, किसी को इंटरेस्ट नहीं है अभी पढ़ने के लिए. What is that future state? Again, that is not your how to create that vision statement. Now, some of those examples you can look here. Accordingly, when you are dealing with your change, you can create your own vision statement. If you see, say if I am talking about the last one, sustainability of and environmental change, our goal is to achieve those carbon neutrality by 2030. That means we are talking about a problem statement. Our goal is to achieve that carbon neutrality. We are not yet there, but what we are communicating, by 2030 we will be there. Integrating sustainable practices into every aspect of our operations. That means we are also saying today we are not activated or not connected with all those operations that is there to reducing waste and promoting eco-friendly solution. So we are providing that solution statement here. So we are saying we will be achieving it. That is our future state. अगर इस तरह से एक विजन स्टेटमेंट आप क्रिएट करते हो, either textually, graphically or combining both of them. You require every member's support. Earlier we have seen those viewpoints and perspective. Different people, different departments, they will be having different perspective. Some might not be in favor of this. So you need to onboard them. You need to bring them together. And that's how you can show them, this is my problem statement and these are those activities I will be doing. These are those projects we will be creating to achieve that 2030 mission. Similarly, you can create your vision statement. Why this vision statement is important? So that every member, every stakeholders, every employees, they're getting to know what is that future state. So we say a great change starts with a great vision statement. That is our topic number 1. Moving over to the next topic, organizational culture. We'll be analyzing what is organizational culture, that its importance with organizational change management, how change can impact or be impacted by your organizational culture. What is organizational culture? As per definition, अगर आप देखेंगे, an established system of accepted behaviors, values, beliefs and assumptions that is widely shared within the organization. That means क्या आप accept कर रहे हो या नहीं कर रहे हो as an organization. काफ़ी बार हम सुनते हैं departments, they are quite bureaucratic in nature versus there are departments which are quite flat structure. आप किसी को भी जाके कुछ भी पूछ सकते हैं without looking into those hierarchy. Plus there could be department which is more people centric. They will help you. There could be departments which is more customer focused. So different ways we have defined our culture by defining what is right or wrong. But how culture develops? In the organization's history, those assumptions, beliefs, norms that has come in and they were successful. Suppose group of people, like they could be your core team members, they could be those senior leaders, they have come together, they have created something and because of that it is becoming successful. Assumptions of those founder or leaders. When they created this department with those senior leaders, they are very happy. They know each other at this point when they are starting it. Over a period of time, when new people had emerged within that new organization, they are also repeating the same thing. So it has become a people-centric organization or a department where everybody knows each other, they are empathetic, they are connected with one another. So that way it has become a people-centric organization. What really matters, it sinks deeply into this organizational, conscious and it shaped that future from the beneath. So you are getting to know what is this organization bringing in. And that's how this organization is becoming successful. Now, different levels of organizational culture, as per one of those studies from Trumpensons and Hampton and Turner, they have provided there are 3 levels of organizational culture. आप इसको एक आइसबर्ग की तरह सोच सकते हैं. Level 1, that is at the surface level. किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में आप जाते हैं, आप जो पहले देखते हैं या आप एक सॉरी so different level of organizational culture. As per one of those studies, you can see there are 3 levels. आप इसको एक आइसबर्ग की तरह कंपेयर कर सकते हैं. लेवल 1 जो सरफेस लेवल, किसी भी डिपार्टमेंट में अगर आप जाते हैं, जो विजिबल आर्टिफैक्ट्स या जो सरफेस लेवल में आप देखते हैं उसको हम लेवल 1 कहते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, हु इज गेटिंग दैट विंडो सीट, किसको बड़ा वाला कार पार्किंग मिल रहा है, क्या एम्बियंस है इस डिपार्टमेंट का, इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, क्या ये काफ़ी क्लीन है एज एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. व्हाट इज दैट यू आर सीइंग इन द फर्स्ट प्लेस, दैट इज योर लेवल 1. But remember, that is at the surface level. When you are going deeper, you can see level 2, where the norms and values are defined, where you can see what is right or wrong, what is good or bad. These are all defined there. Who is defining? There could be some rules, certain guidelines that are set up by this organization. But level 3, where we are going into that deepest level, where we are creating those basic assumptions. For example, हम कह सकते हैं everybody is equal in my department. I take same feedback from my juniors as well as how I am taking my feedback from my senior members. Everybody is equal. Versus this organization is quite strict in the hierarchical structure. You can't send any email communication to your super boss or to your senior members unless you put your manager in CC. So these are those basic assumptions that we are creating. And because of these assumptions or these levels we have created, that would define what kind of culture will bring in a change, or the change, how they can be impacted because of these cultural aspects. Now, in understanding the change, the culture is important because it drives employees' engagement and productivity. What is that they will be getting, you will get to know. What are those change and how it would be adopted or rejected within the organization. Suppose you want to bring a change that is more people-centric, but today you are quite hierarchical or quite flattened structure. So it is not helping you to go into that direction. So bring in that change that would be aligning to your organizational culture. It will help in creating that brand value, typically we say, and the reputation of your organization. So it impacts decision making and ethics, because we are also defining what is right or wrong within my department or within my organization. We have already seen in terms of the change agents, there is an internal aspect of the change agents, there is an external, and there is an hybrid model. And there I said, when you are bringing in a cultural change, you need to bring in the hybrid side of it. So both the parties are needed. So when you are dealing with any of your cultural side of it, make sure that you have representation from your internal departments as well as from your external departments. So that was cultural side of it, our topic number 2. Moving over to topic number 3, which is related to neuroscience of change, where we are going to talk about the human brains and how they can make or break as an individual, right? Individual reactions to change. So we'll see what are those aspects of neuroscience and how it can help people to accept or maybe rejecting the change. First of all, what is neuroscience? Any or all of those sciences, like that of the neurochemistry or experimental psychology, that deals with the structure or function of nervous system of our brain, that is our neuroscience. If you go back to those animal theory, how it has started all, you can see animals, when they are responding to any situation, they look into two things. One is whether it is dangerous, अगर ये है, मेरे लिए कुछ खतरा लेके आ रहा है, तो मुझे वहाँ से भागना है. That is the threat to be avoided. And the second point, can I eat it? क्या मैं इसको खा सकता हूँ ताकि मुझे कुछ वैल्यू मिले इससे. तो सब्जेक्ट के साथ जब वो इंटरेक्ट करते हैं, what is that value they will be getting? And that is how, when you are looking into the human brain, you can connect with the same animal theory, whether it is good for me as an individual or there is something not so good, and it would be against what I am thinking or what is that I am perceiving to achieve with my change. So once we get to know what is this change all about or how the brain would be interacting to that change, we do have to understand what is mindset. We call it as the neuroplasticity. If you go back to those brain or those psychology side of it, it is just like the plastic. It has got that flexibility. Our human brain is one of those unique body part which would be having those different aspects to different situations. It would be reacting differently. The good thing is it can learn at any age. It does not stop growing. And that is when the neuroplasticity by Carol Dweck, it helps in understanding what is that mindset. And she has explained there are two sides to it. If you look into those mindsets, we do have the fixed mindset and there is a growth mindset. The fixed mindset, when people are fixed to their ideas, जो करते आ रहे हैं उसी में ही वो कंफर्टेबल है, उसी को ही करना चाहेंगे, because they are fixed. फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई एम नॉट वेरी गुड एट, इसमें मैं अगर कुछ कर नहीं पा रहा हूं तो शायद मैं उसे आगे कुछ नहीं करने का कोशिश करूंगा, बिकॉज आई डू नॉट हैव दैट flexibility to go and achieve something else. I am continuing the same way. Then we do have the growth mindset. For these people, when they see a challenge, they know that I am not very good at, but yet let me give it a try. क्यों ना मैं एक और बार कोशिश करूं, क्यों ना मैं एक बार एटलीस्ट ट्राई करूं. So we are looking into those two aspects, a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset, and we are trying to bring in those change. Idea is to take them from that fixed mindset to that of the growth mindset. Now, to help people through this change because of this mindset, there are two observations the neuroscientists they have provided. The first one, people operate based on those mental maps. We have created something unique within our brain and we want to stick to that. Why? Because we are quite comfortable within that area. Need to be, if you want to bring in a change, you need to create that magic, what we are calling it here as the light bulb moment, so that they know what is that they are going to get. आप अगर उनको मैजिक दिखा सकते हैं कि ये चेंज आपके लिए फायदेमंद रहेगा, then only they will be happy. And that is how their human brains that will connect, that will be creating that whole web of reflections or connections, and that will be in favor of this change. And second point, people become what they attend to or pay attention to. So when they repeat it again and again, once they know there is a magic, that means this change is going to help them, it is working, they'll try to be part of it. And that is when those moments of insight that becomes permanent within themselves. So the first one, when we are talking about those light bulb moment, that needs to come many times from the leader, many times from the situations. If you go back, how historically the change has happened, be it Nelson Mandela or Mahatma Gandhi, what they have created. They have created through their light movement that mass momentum. So it has connected to people's brain, people's mind. So just think about it. You being a leader, when you are creating that magic wand or that light bulb moment, how effective it would be for your people. That is point number one. And point number two, when you are creating that environment or that ecosystem, what they are repeating, they are doing it again and again, they can see the benefit out of it. So there are certain recommendations to create a lasting change in behavioral and attitude. Ask insight-provoking questions rather than just giving them those prescriptions. So when you are asking them, can you do it this way? Do it yourself, instead of you providing those to-do list for them to do. Similarly, use experimental rather than didactic learning processes to support change. Let them be experimental. With that, let me also take you back to those Lewin's model. When we said unfreeze, change and refreeze, so during the change, it is absolutely fine for them to be experimental, so that they know what is working or not working for them, instead of we provide them certain steps. It will be more long lasting when they are doing it themselves. And use coaching or affirming feedback to remind people regularly of their change aspect. What is that they need to bring in? So ultimately you are keeping control within yourself, but be gentle, be empathetic, so that we are not forcing the change to them. We are getting those feedback, whether they are really working on this change or they are doing something else. So that is the brain or the neuroscience part of the change. Now moving over to our next topic. Here we are going to talk about two interesting collaboration techniques. You can be experimental within your departments, where you can bring in World Cafe or the OST. Plus there are various experimentations that is going on to bring in different aspects of your collaborations. For example, many organizations, they have started doing those cafeteria conversations instead of having boardroom meetings, where in the cafeteria, when we can have those informal conversations, we can have those road shows where we can go and connect with different people, different stakeholders to gain our insights or to gain our ideas. So the first one is the World Cafe. It is just like the cafe setting or the metaphor of cafe, where we do have those relaxed conversation. The guidance, there are 7 principles you need to look into. In this World Cafe, first to set the context, what do we define? What is the purpose of this conversation? Why we are meeting together? Then create a hospitable space. That means we are creating that welcoming environment, just like the cafe structure. आप वहाँ पे उनके लिए टेबल क्लॉथ, रिफ्रेशमेंट्स कुछ रख सकते हैं, आप सर्कुलर टेबल्स रख सकते हैं, so that just like a cafe it will be replicating. Then exploring those questions that matter, जो उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में चाहिए उनको. सपोज हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं ये चेंज में कौन कौन स्टेक होल्डर हो सकते हैं, या ये चेंज में क्या क्या रिस्क हो सकता है, कौन से ग्रुप्स आपको सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं, अगेंस्ट में जा सकते हैं. सो यू आर एक्सप्लोरिंग दोज क्वेश्चंस. बट one of those guidelines encourage everyone's contributions. It won't be successful, only few of them they are talking. If you are taking just those points from group of people, not from everyone. Then connect diverse perspectives. When you are having everyone's contributions, you are getting those values from everyone. Listen together for insights. It is not that just group of people they are directing from the top, but you are listening from everyone, and ultimately sharing those collective discoveries, so that we know at the end of it what is that we are achieving. Now the process of this World Cafe, it is like this. Create an environment model on a cafe. That means people are sitting around tables with tablecloths, flowers, refreshments, जो भी आप दे सकते हैं. You also provide those drawing papers, colored pens, so that they could be experimental to know about it. Point number 2, introduce the session, explaining the process and putting participants at ease. Suppose आप पहली बार कर रहे हैं तो लोगों को पता नहीं होगा, आपके stakeholders को पता नहीं होगा ये कैसे करना है. So you are creating that environment. Point number 3, the process involves rounds of conversations in each of these tables. Now the people, they will start to move into new tables once the first discussion points are over. For example, 20 से 30 मिनट तक वो एक टेबल पे बात करने के बाद वो एक दूसरे टेबल को, that means they are dispersing. Suppose there are 4 members, A, B, C, D. A is moving to table 2, B is probably moving to table 3, C is moving to table 4, etc. So they are not repeating those conversations from table to table, but they are dispersing. So you are getting different ideas. So process for World Cafe, point number 4, at the end of each round, each participants at the table moves to different new table. जैसे मैंने बताया था, एक टेबल पे वो बैठे हैं, 4 बंदे हैं सपोज, तो वो मूव कर रहे हैं अलग अलग टेबल पे, वो डिस्पर्स हो रहे हैं एक तरह से. ABCD सपोज दे आर देयर, A सेकेंड टेबल को चला गया, B थर्ड टेबल को चला गया, C फोर्थ टेबल को, इस तरह से वो डिस्पर्स होते हैं. So we are not repeating with the same set of people again and again. तो उस हिसाब से वो creativity नहीं आ पाती. So point number 5, each round is prefaced with a question designed for those specific context and for that session. Suppose हम अगर ढूंढते हैं कौन कौन stakeholder हो सकते हैं इस change के लिए, उस पर हम discuss कर सकते हैं. क्या risks या issues है changes का, वो discuss कर सकते हैं. कौन कौन positive, negative stakeholders हो सकते हैं, या जैसे हमने बताया फोर्स फील्ड एनालिसिस, क्या क्या फोर्सेस इन फेवर ऑफ या अगेंस्ट द चेंज हो सकता है, वो डिस्कस कर सकते हैं. एनी टॉपिक्स यू कैन चूज टू डिस्कस. पॉइंट नंबर 6, आफ्टर सेवरल राउंड्स, टिपिकली इट हैज बीन रिकमेंडेड अराउंड 3 numbers. Once we have repeated, then they'll try to record what they have discussed so far. सो 3 राउंड के बाद वो उसको लिखना शुरू करते हैं. Those who do have those skills, they will start to write it. That means जो भी क्रिएटिविटी के साथ आते हैं उस ट्रेनिंग उस इवेंट में, जो उसको कुछ ग्राफिकली प्रेजेंट करा सकते हैं, they are the recommended ones who will be part of it. Now this World Cafe, when it came into existence, it is not very old. It is hardly 20 years old. There are 3 rules and certain guidelines that you need to be followed. World Cafe has a technique. They have experimented from 12 to several hundred people. तो ये भी आप कोशिश कर सकते हैं जब भी आप चेंज इम्प्लीमेंट कर रहे हो. इट इज़ ए स्ट्रक्चर्ड कन्वर्सेशनल प्रोसेस जहाँ पे आप डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स को लेके आप डिस्कस करके कुछ न्यू क्रिएटिव आइडियाज़ जनरेट कर सकते हैं. नाउ नेक्स्ट टॉपिक which is known as open space technology or OST, हम short में बोलते हैं. It is defines, though there is not much of technology used here, but it is another interesting area जिसमें आप एक थीम को लेके आते हैं. For example, how can you create a more agile, capable organization? How can you go as a paperless organization? How can you bring in innovation within your departments? सो डिफरेंट थीम्स आप लेके आ सकते हैं. फिर आप एक एजेंडा सेट करते हैं इसमें, इसको बोलते हैं क्रिएटिंग दैट मार्केट प्लेस. इसमें आप पहले से कुछ प्री डिफाइंड एजेंडा लेके नहीं आते हैं. देयर कुड बी सम ओपन एंडेड क्वेश्चन एंड दैट इज व्हाट दिस इज बीइंग क्रिएटेड बाय द पार्टिसिपेंट्स देयर. सो द पार्टिसिपेंट्स वो ही डिसाइड करते हैं क्या एजेंडा हो सकता है उस डिस्कशन में. देन इट इज ए सेल्फ ऑर्गेनाइज्ड ब्रेकआउट सेशंस. तो एंटायर सेशन, सपोज देर आर 50 मेंबर्स हु आर पार्टिसिपेटिंग, उसको हम छोटे छोटे टुकड़े में फिर ब्रेक कर देते हैं. जिसका भी जो भी आइडिया होगा वो लेके आते हैं फ्लोर में. सपोज somebody might be having idea about, say again those stakeholder side of it. First round somebody can talk about who could be our individuals, those who are part of this change. Second group, they can discuss who are those positive stakeholders. Third could be who are my customers, who could be my suppliers. Fourth could be who are those citizens who need to participate in this change. So different ways you can create those breakout sessions. Now interestingly, there are 3 principles and 1 law that in detail we will be looking into. The law is 2 feet, and ultimately you are harvesting and sharing your insights through this group. Now what does this principle talks about and what are those laws? The principle says whoever comes to a session are the right people for that session. That means it is voluntary. Whoever is interested to be participating in that discussion, they will be coming to that group. Second one, whatever happens is the only thing that could happen. क्योंकि वो voluntarily आके participate कर रहे हैं, वो कुछ creative activities को लेके आ रहे हैं, वो अपना आइडियाज़ शेयर कर रहे हैं आपके साथ. दैट इज़ गुड थिंग टू हैव. वही आप उम्मीद कर रहे थे. सो उसी के दायरे में जो भी पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं, यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट द बेस्ट आउट ऑफ इट. एंड द थर्ड वन, whenever a session starts, that is the right time for it to start. That means there is no compulsion. Once they have understood what is that agenda they are going to discuss, and that is when they will be bringing it up. So this is quite open-ended discussion. So you are bringing in the entire group, voluntary group, those who are interested, they will be participating. Now interestingly, there is a law, only one law, which is known as the law of 2 feet. That means at any point in time, if somebody is not contributing or somebody is not interested, they can use their 2 feet and they can move away. There is no restriction, neither any compulsion. अगर आप कंट्रीब्यूट नहीं कर रहे हो तो वो सेशन छोड़ के आप जा सकते हो, या आपको लग रहा है उससे आपको कुछ फ़ायदा होने वाला नहीं है, then why will be wasting your time? So it is quite open-ended. But this is quite useful when you are taking it to those audience and when you do have those open context to discuss, when it is the diverse perspective आप लेके आना चाह रहे हो, then go for this open space technology. They have experimented with quite large group of people, even thousands. So in that case, they'll ask them to sit in concentric circle and that is how they'll be starting this session. It might take some time. Many times it can go up to half a day to that of 2 days. But we do not go beyond 2 days. It would be difficult to maintain and control the audience. But it gives you that perspective, open-ended perspective, when you are bringing in change to different audience and to look for those different perspectives. So these collaboration techniques, I believe that would help you in managing your people's expectations and your stakeholders' expectations. Moving over to the next one, topic number 5, where we'll be talking about the data side of the change. Because today, with the information age, every now and then we are creating, we are distributing, we are analyzing our data. We are creating different KPIs. Why all these are important? Because ultimately you need to take the measurement, whether you are doing the right thing, whether you are going in the right direction or not. And that is when it would be helping you. So we'll be looking into some of those KPIs, what you can generate for your change. There is no restriction, you can go beyond anything. Whatever suits your change, you can create your scorecards. We'll be looking into what are those data analytics metrics and how it would help your change. Now, the measurements that you will be bringing in, there are 3 aspects you need to look into. What are those change? Whether this change is on track, whether you are ready to start with your change. For that, you will be generating certain data. Plus, once you have achieved, whether you will be able to maintain that change. That is something also you will be looking into. So there are 3 aspects. One is the cadence or the rhythm. That is how frequently you need to generate or get those data. Is it every day you will be generating the data? या आप हर फ्राइडे को आप ले रहे हो डेटा, या आप सेंड कर रहे हो अपने सीनियर्स को कुछ स्टेटस रिपोर्ट. सो यू नीड टू डिफाइन एज पर योर चेंज व्हाट इज दैट कैडेंस और रिदम दैट यू विल बी ब्रिंगिंग इन. कितना जल्दी आप ले सकते हो डेटा या कितना लेटली आप उसको डिले कर सकते हो, ये डिपेंड करता है आपके चेंज के ऊपर. देन एक्शनेबल, व्हाट इज दैट एक्शन यू विल बी टेकिंग वंस यू हैव क्रिएटेड दैट डेटा. Many times, if you are not taking that action, that means that data, you put all your effort to gather that data, but ultimately it is sitting idly. It has gone into a repository, nobody is looking into that data. So make sure not only you are collecting those data, but you are taking appropriate action. For example, once you have started with your change, what if first phase is completed, आपको कुछ lessons learned हुआ, now those lessons learned you want to apply into the second phase. अगर आप वो action नहीं ले रहे हो, then this data does not have any meaning. Third one is the need. As per your need, you will be collecting the data. We say, if you do not have a need for that data, then do not collect them. Do not create those data in the first place. So that is definitely needed. So these 3 factors, if you will be considering, this will give you enough idea to create your scorecard, or in simple term, what we call it as the KPI. Key Performance Indicators, many times these are known as your CSFs, Critical Success Factors, to know whether your change would be successful or not. So this data would help you. Like many times we go back to those historical data or those experiences that you can bring in, और उसके साथ ही आप देख सकते हैं ये चेंज क्या सही डायरेक्शन में जा रहा है, या आपको you'll have to go back and look back whether it is something course correction you'll have to do. There are some of those aspects you can look into while you are creating or generating those data, like the financial aspects. Many times, many departments, they look for those financial, the cost aspect of it. Like once the change is successful, what is that you will be looking for? क्या मुझे कुछ फायदा होगा इस चेंज को लेके या नहीं? Then the customer side of it. Ultimately, who are those customers who will be getting it? It could be my department, it could be my citizens, it could be the people who are affected by the change directly. Then the internal side of it. Many times, जब आप बाहर की चेंज को लेके आते हो या अप्लाई करते हो, internally you are also improving yourself. Suppose आप सिटीजनशिप प्रोग्राम लेके आ रहे हो, यू आर प्रोवाइडिंग बेटर हेल्थ केयर सिस्टम, for your people, for citizens. For that, are you prepared in-house? क्या आपका health system ready है? So internally, you'll also check your data. What is that data points that is talking about today? Then the learning and growth. To go into that future state, what is that organization they need to learn? And what is that they will be improving? So you need to create those ecosystem with learning and improvement that will help you. And at this point, your line leaders, your change agents, they could be a very good training provider. वो आपको मदद कर सकते हैं पॉइंट ए से पॉइंट बी तक लेके जाने के लिए. एंड इसके साथ ही आपका ह्यूमन कैपिटल, इंफॉर्मेशन कैपिटल, ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल कैपिटल, ये सब भी लेके आ सकते हैं. जैसे ह्यूमन कैपिटल में आपका नॉलेज, स्किल्स, एबिलिटी, ये सब लेके आ सकते हैं. इंफॉर्मेशन कैपिटल में क्या इंफॉर्मेशन आपके पास है, क्या वो इंफॉर्मेशन रेडी है कुछ डिसीजन लेने के लिए. और ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल कैपिटल, अगर आप कल्चर चेंज कर रहे हैं, देन हाउ आर यू ब्रिंगिंग दोज ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल साइड ऑफ इट. तो ये एक एग्जाम्पल है आपको देखने के लिए क्या क्या कैटेगरी आप कर सकते हैं डेटा को लेके, क्या इंडिकेटर्स हो सकता है वो डेटा का. व्हाट इज योर करंट स्टेट, व्हाट इज योर टारगेट स्टेट. लाइक द फर्स्ट वन, रिड्यूस ऑपरेटिंग कॉस्ट, जिसमें अभी हम लोगों का ज़्यादा खर्चा हो रहा है वहाँ पे, प्लस 15,000 वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, उसको हमको कम करना है, विल गो टू -30K. So likewise, you can create for your change. What could be those data points? What could be your scorecard? It is just for your reference, what way you can bring in your scorecard. So it could be financial, customer, internal, or learning and growth side of it. Now, once you have created those data points or your KPIs, you need to know there are two aspects or two sides to these data points. One is the qualitative aspect, the other one is the quantitative. Quantitative would be easy to communicate, easy to capture. At the same time, here you can also the qualitative. When you are planning for your change in the beginning itself, probably you are looking into more of those of qualitative than that of the quantitative. We do not have much of idea at this point what is that quantitative will be bringing in. So the change, it is majorly in the beginning within those qualitative side of it. But as we are progressing, as the change is getting adopted, we'll be looking into more of those substantial, solid data points or those quantitative data points to show those progress. Because ultimately your stakeholders, they will be looking for those numbers, those numeric values, and that is when it will be marked as success. But to begin with, it is, you can start with, if you do have those numeric values, well and good, otherwise start with the qualitative, more of qualitative values, and as you will be progressing, you will be getting to know more of those quantitative side of it. But at the same time, when we are talking about all these data points, the KPIs, the success factors, you need to be careful those limitations of those data analytics, like the volume of data. अगर कोई चेंज जहाँ पे सिर्फ थोड़े से डेटा से, सैम्पल डेटा से आप कुछ डिसीजन ले सकते हो, इफ़ यू आर bombarded with loads of data, it would be difficult for you to manage those data. We call it as the analysis paralysis. आप उस स्टेज में जा सकते हैं जिसमें आप सिर्फ डेटा को लेके इतना चिंतित हो रहे हैं, आप क्या चेंज अप्लाई करेंगे उसके बारे में आपको पता नहीं है. So be careful how much of data that might be needed. There is no hard and fast rule, but you need to find out, you need to figure out what should be appropriate for you. So talk to your stakeholders, talk to your senior members to find out what is the data that you will be needing for your change. Similarly, quality of data. अगर आप एक करप्ट डेटा या जो डेटा आपको चेंज के साथ कनेक्टेड नहीं है, वो डेटा को आप लेके आ रहे हैं, then it will also not bring in any value for your change. So try to bring in those quality of data. Another aspect, inappropriate handling of data. Today, day by day, we are getting to know about those data privacy that is coming in because of all those threats that is coming nowadays. So make sure that data, what we are using, for example, अगर आप patient data लेके आ रहे हैं for your medical health history, there is always a good chance that data could be exposed to the outside world. So are we ready that this data would be managed effectively? Similarly, the data distortion, जब डेटा का मीनिंग ही बदल जाती है, आप डेटा लेके आए कुछ पर्सपेक्ट से, that was financial data, now you are calculating the human lives, but it is not connected or directly connected, so it could be having a different meaning altogether. So make sure that you are using the data effectively, otherwise your KPI will not be having any value. As I said, you may go into that analysis paralysis stage. Now these were those KPIs that is good to have, that is something you need to do all your course correction as you are progressing. Similarly, there are some of those tools that you may be requiring to implement your change. Like the first one, which is change impact analysis. इसमें हम क्या करते हैं? Through this CIA, we bring in those structured approach to see whether this change would bring in enough impact. What are those approach you can bring in? Those objectives you will be achieving by dealing with this, identifying those affected areas, कौन से departments they could be affected, is there any department that would be impacted negatively, positively, the depth of the change, like कितने लोग इससे affected होंगे, कितने departments, analyze the risk, जब आप पेपरलेस या पेपर रिमूव कर रहे हैं किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से, क्या क्या रिस्क्स आ सकता है, जैसे आपको वेंडर मैनेजमेंट उसको चेंज करना पड़ेगा बिकॉज यू आर नॉट परचेजिंग दोज प्रिंटर्स पेपर्स एनी मोर, सो यू आर ऑल्सो एनालाइजिंग दोज रिस्क साइड ऑफ इट. मिटिगेशन स्ट्रैटेजी, कैसे आप मैनेज करेंगे ऑल दोज अनसर्टन इवेंट्स, ऑप्टिमाइजिंग योर रिसोर्स एलोकेशंस. लेकिन इससे पहले आपको देखना है कैसे ये चेंज आपको इम्पैक्ट करने जा रहा है, आपके डिपार्टमेंट को कैसे इम्पैक्ट करने जा रहा है. सम ऑफ दोज एग्जाम्पल्स अगेन, इम्पैक्ट एनालिसिस मैट्रिक्स आप ला सकते हैं, आप डिफाइन कर सकते हैं इस तरह से, क्या क्या मैट्रिक्स लेंगे वो लिख सकते हैं आप, और इससे क्या फ़ायदा होगा वो आप कर सकते हैं. इस तरह से एक स्कोर कार्ड और या तो फिर एक टेम्पलेट आप क्रिएट कर सकते हैं, हाउ टू डील विथ योर चेंज or what could be those impacted areas. So I am not going into all these details, but as per your change, you can create your own template. Second one is the change management strategy. आप change management को deal करने के लिए, you are not just jumping over there. You are going with a proper strategy. So within that strategy, you can have the background that will provide you why you need this change. What is that rationale behind this change? आप एक context दे सकते हो so that your stakeholders are not surprised. What is this change all about? Once they know what is that background, then they will be easily, or they will at least know what is this change all about. So the chances of resistance that will come down. Then the level of adoption required. काफ़ी बार आपके पास choice नहीं है, time कम है, then immediately you will have to take action like that of the pandemic. या तो फिर आपके पास टाइम है, यू आर गोइंग स्लो, डेलिब्रेट, यू आर ब्रिंगिंग इन लॉट्स ऑफ चेंज एजेंट्स, डिफरेंट टीम्स, एंड दैट्स हाउ यू आर प्रोग्रेसिंग. सिमिलरली विजन फॉर दोज फोकस एरियाज और क्रिएटिंग दोज विजन स्टेटमेंट और द फोकस स्टेटमेंट, दैट इज अनदर एरिया यू नीड टू राइट डाउन विद इन योर स्ट्रेटेजी. अगर आप एक सेपरेट डॉक्यूमेंट के साथ लेके जा रहे हैं विजन स्टेटमेंट, दैट इज डिफरेंट, बट एटलीस्ट दैट शुड बी सम कम्युनिकेशन विद इन योर स्ट्रेटेजी, हाउ यू आर डीलिंग विद. Then the lessons from previous change initiatives, अगर आपके पास कुछ experience है, prior experiences related to the change that you will be bringing in. Change management teams, those roles and responsibilities that we spoke about, how they are connected. Is your leaders and your middle managers, they are talking to each other? What is their reporting line? How the implementers, they are connected to the middle managers, all this you are bringing in. Then the change network, particularly with your change agents, how they will be connecting, what is that you will be dealing with it, that network you need to establish. Then the delivery strategy or कैसे आप उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करना चाहते हो वो भी आप लिख सकते हो. हाई लेवल टाइमिंग, आप एक स्केड्यूल या टाइमलाइन प्रोवाइड कर रहे हो, आपका चेंज कैसे लेके आएगा, क्या क्या माइलस्टोन्स आप अचीव करोगे एज यू विल बी गोइंग थ्रू. देन द हाई लेवल चेंज अप्रोच, एक तरह से आप हम बोलते हैं बिग बैंग अप्रोच से कर सकते हो. ओवरनाइट यू आर चेंजिंग एवरीथिंग, या तो फिर स्लोली आप सम चेंजेस आप लेके आ रहे हो. व्हाट कुड बी दैट चेंज अप्रोच? Likewise, you can bring in your change and engagement plan, or many times change management plan के नाम से जाना जाता है, जिसमें आप स्टेक होल्डर्स कौन कौन है, या तो फिर स्टेक होल्डर्स को आप सेपरेटली रख सकते हो. What would be those communication side of it? What would be those developing skills that would be needed typically for your leaders, middle managers and implementers? You can provide it. How to build those support, resistance, feedback, measurements, all this you can think of. You can create your change and engagement plan. It is not necessary that you are calling it as change and engagement plan within your department. You may be having different names for all these templates or those documents we are talking about. For example, change strategy, I can call it as a strategic document, or I can call it as a change book, C&E plan or change and engagement plan, or just the engagement plan or the change plan. As per your needs, you will be defining it. It is all open. There is no prescriptive. Similarly, another area you can focus on is your resistance management strategy. How to deal with those resistance. In the foundational side of it, we spoke about what are those different types of resistance and how do you deal with it. Here, we are talking about those strategy that you will be defining. Be sure that there is some resistance that is happening within your change, otherwise it is top-down driven and forcefully we are bringing in this change. It is always better to have those difference of opinion. So we are talking about those sources of resistance that might be coming in. So identify who would be resisting, what are their forces, what are those resistance side of it. We spoke about those force field analysis. क्या क्या forces हो सकते हैं जो आपके favor में या against में काम कर सकते हैं. Then you can categorize those resistance level. As per our prior discussion, there could be audible unhappiness, disengagements and sabotage. So something like this you can create through your resistance management strategy. It is not prescriptive, it is totally open-ended, as I am repeating. So you can create your own as per your needs of your change. Likewise, you can have change communication strategy. Communication is another important aspect, like again those background of it, what is that you will be communicating, your stakeholder analysis and engagement. This is another aspect. Either you can keep those stakeholder inside your communication or you can create those separate document. Like in the foundation, we spoke about those CPIG, VNGC side of it, plus there could be personas you can create, grid models पे भी आप काम कर सकते हैं. Then key messaging, different stakeholders, and that's why that is the importance of your segmentation of your stakeholders. आप same message सारे stakeholder को नहीं भेज रहे हो. You are creating those tailoring or modifications. You are sending different messages because their needs are different. Then the channels, क्या आप email से communicate कर रहे हो, क्या आप fax से कर रहे हो, क्या आप leaflet दे रहे हो, printout दे रहे हो. What are those risks associated with the change? How are you mitigating, minimizing those uncertainties या risk? वो भी आप communication में लिख सकते हो. Then the measurement methodology. To communicate is one thing, but is this communication is making any help to manage your change? For example, हमने शुरू की, every month I'll be sending out a communication to my stakeholders, to group of people I'll be sending. लेकिन I'm getting those resistance from these groups again and again. That means my communication, my strategy is failing somewhere. I'll have to go back. Then when I analyzed, I realized that instead of monthly, I'll be sending out every bi-weekly. Or every week I'll be sending. So I can take those measurements. I can create my communication KPIs and I can go for it. So this is the example you can have a look into it with the change communication strategy. You can create your own, you can add, modify based on this template. And the last template I'm going to talk about is the force field analysis. जैसे हमने कर्ट लुइस का अनफ्रीज चेंज एंड रिफ्रीज स्टेज का हमने देखा था जब हमने बात की थी मॉडल्स के बारे में, चेंज मॉडल्स. So you can bring in your force field analysis there. When we are talking about those forces that are in favor of your change, forces that are against your change, that means we are taking our change from the current state to that of the future state. जो middle में आप देख रहे हैं, that is current state recurring the change, but ultimately we are looking for target for change. You can create something with the scorecard, you can create with some post-it notes या sticky notes के साथ, आप कुछ numeric values भी ला सकते हैं. So ultimately what we are bringing in, the left hand side should be much more powerful than that of the right hand side. जब आप ये कर सकते हैं, then you can communicate the change is going to be successful. If not, if your right hand sides are quite heavy, then chances are that the change is doubtful. This will also serve you as a communication media, जिसके तहत आप सीनियर लीडरशिप टीम से बात कर सकते हैं, हाउ टू ब्रिंग डाउन द राइट हैंड साइड, उनका सपोर्ट ले सकते हैं, आप चेंज एजेंट्स का सपोर्ट ले सकते हैं टू डील विद दोज चेंजेस. Now, these are those different templates you can utilize for your change. Within this advanced topic, what is that we covered? To drive effective change through your vision, we spoke about the vision statement, how to create or not create those vision statements, the cultural aspect of it, why organizational culture is important, what are those different side of those culture, different collaboration techniques, be it your work cafe, be it your open space technology. We also spoke about those brain side of it, though it is still evolving to connect the brain with that of the change, but it is an interesting area to know how human brain could make or deviate from accepting that change. Likewise, we looked into those change analytics, those data points, what you might be looking into, and how they may help you not only to plan for your change, but to take a step back and look back how the change is going. Is it in the right direction, or is there any course correction you need to do? Different tools we spoke about, change impact analysis, strategy, engagement plans, resistance strategy. So ultimately, when you are bringing in all these elements, be it within your foundational side of it or advanced side of this change, we are building that resilience to drive successful change and create that sustainable culture for your organization and to make your change successful. So to conclude, we say when the winds of change blow, some people build walls and others windmills. Now it depends with you. What is that you are going to bring? Thank you so much.